everyone to Belmont Plays. I'm your host, Balmont, and today we're going to be playing Ark Survival Evolved. Now, some of you may not have seen this game, may not know about it. Loosely, it's a survival game focused on world exploration, environmental hazards, and many other things. My hopes for this Let's Play is to entertain you and also help act as a tutorial for new players who are interested in the game. Now, I'm not saying that I know everything there is to know about this game, but I have played it before on my own time, and I'd like to think that I'm competent enough that with a few easy steps and following along, you too should be able to get the overall grasp and hang of this game and be able to really just jump in and start playing from the get-go. So the first thing we're greeted with after loading into a server that you choose is the character creation screen. And here there are a bunch of different sliders that you can use to change your character's appearance. As you can see, that's changing his jaw width. For me, I'm going to go ahead and leave pretty much everything default except for his hair. I'd like him to have black hair and his eyes a nice shade of blue. We're going to go ahead and call him Balmont. And then over here, as you can see, we've got different areas that we can choose from. Some in the south, some in the west, some in the far east, and some in the north. Now, as you can see next to him, there's ratings. This one says hard, this one says medium, this one says easy. For new players in general, I would suggest starting with South Zone 1. The reason behind this being the easy, medium, and hard tags that are on the side there are indicators of how hard the area is to survive in initially. So spawning in, say, the north, your chance of survival is going to be hard. Now, hard meaning that the encounters that you're going to have are going to be much stronger and way more difficult to deal with than you would rightfully expect. So because of that, like I said, we're going to go ahead and spawn in South Zone 1. Once you've got the person that you want and you've named them, you just come down here and you collect.
Are you the one I've been waiting for? You might be. I hope so. It's been so many cycles since I was her. Do I even still remember Hope? I wasn't sure you'd ever turn up. The odds just kept getting longer. I guess I've been losing faith, while they've been gaining power. You have to reach me. Everything depends on your survival. Master this world. Make allies of its many creatures. Grow your strength and skill. Explore this place like I did so long ago. Put the pieces together and find me, survivor. You may be the only one who can.
Well, that was quite a nice intro. Here we go. So, everyone's gonna wake up, similarly to what I did. Now, with these spawn zones and selecting what you did, you're not always going to spawn in exactly the same spot I did. South could be further down in over there, could be on the other bank up there, could be up past the rock that way. It's just generally this area is considered the South Spawn Zone 1. As you can see, we've got a large body of water behind us, a small estuary that leads back in to a small cove over there. We got this giant green pillar. Now what these are your loot drops. They're randomly dropped around the map every so often. And if you approach it, you can see the level that's required to be able to open it. So this green one requires a level 15 survivor to open. So until our level is 15, we won't be able to pick these up. Now, the levels are color-coded, and as we play together, I'll continue to show you drops and you'll be able to see the levels. As a survivor, fresh, the only ones that you're going to be able to pick up are the ones with white light coming off of them. For right now, what we want to do is we want to focus on doing the basics. So as you see here, we've got a small stone. I'm just going to walk up to it, press E, collect a few stones here off of the beach, collect a little bit of this driftwood that's just lying around. Well, apparently that's not wanting to work, so we'll just collect a few more stones and like good old Minecraft, we're just going to walk up here and start punching the tree for some wood. Once you've got some wood and stone and you've got your first level, you're going to want to go ahead and press tab, and then you're going to see here that you've leveled and your points available. In here are your stats. These things affect how much damage you can take, how long you can run, jump, harvest, how well you can swim in the water and hold your breath, how much food you can ultimately have in your system to heal and recover your stamina with, weight, the amount of stuff that you can physically carry, the amount of extra damage you might apply while using a weapon, how fast you move in the world, how long it takes you to build items and craft things in the game. And fortitude is kind of like a damage reduction and weather buff. So the more points in fortitude you have, the less damage you suffer when taking a fall or being hit or in a cold environment or a too hot environment. Fortitude's very useful. With a good fortitude, health, stamina, and weight, you can pretty much do just about anything you need to in the game, provided you're willing to put in the work. Now you can see I'm gaining points relatively quickly. That's because I've changed some of the base settings for the game from standard vanilla to ×5. I receive 5 times the amount of XP than normal. I harvest 5 times the amount. That's why when you saw me picking up the stones, instead of it saying 1, it said 5 per stone that I picked up. I've also increased the taming speed by 5. The development of hatching and maturation for eggs and breeding of dinosaur, which we'll get into in another series. For right now, we're going to go ahead and spend our points. Like I said, health, stamina, fortitude, and weight are all very important. So we're going to kind of evenly spread these out, like so. And then you'll be greeted with the engram screen once you're done spending your points. Up at the top in the little square here, you'll see we've got 92 engram points, and the number you see on each one of these squares are the amount of points that it costs to pick up and learn how to craft that. The first two levels, level 2 and 3 that are here, everything right off rip. So we want to start with the stone axe first, because that's going to allow us to collect wood and stone much more efficiently. We're going to need something to defend ourselves, so the spear will be next. Food and water are quite a big deal in this game, keeping yourself fed and hydrated. So the campfire for cooking. We're going to need some basic protection, so we're going to unlock the cloth set of armor here. Having a water skin right away is nice, so we're going to go ahead and pick it up. Now, beyond this, what are some things that you should focus on in the engrams here? Something that new players usually don't know about the game and often run into what more skilled players like to call a noob trap is that you see everything and you're like, wow, I really need that, I want that, so you start spending your points. And we go into like level 4 here. Now with this, we could buy everything on level 4 and keep going as far down as this goes. The problem with doing that is you only ever get so many engram points. Now these points are never enough to unlock absolutely everything in here. So you kind of need to pick and choose what's most important. Now, most important, you're going to need a home. So the thatch foundation, the doorway, the door, the wall, and the ceiling. These are all crucial pieces. You don't really need to put windows in unless you're looking to make something aesthetically pleasing or for your own purposes. Essentially, this building just needs to keep us away from the wildlife. Along with that, we're going to definitely need a place to store extra goods and the sleeping bag. Now what the sleeping bag allows is a respawn point. Once this has been put down, should you die in game, you'll be able to respawn anywhere that you've put the sleeping bag down. So initially, number 4 is good to get. In here, wooden signs. These are only useful if you're wanting to put markers up in the world, roleplay wise. They're not required for anything in game. They're more decorative beautification objects. Like I said, more meant for roleplay. The slingshot. If we hover over any one of these, it'll tell you the engram name. On the far right, it'll give you the crafting requirements for it, and a brief description of what it is and what it does. As we can see here, it's a simple ranged weapon that deals damage from afar, better for knocking out targets than killing it outright. Requires stone to fire. This is an early game ranged weapon that while it's not necessarily going to kill your target, it is going to knock it unconscious. And in some cases, when they get close enough to falling asleep that way, or being knocked out, they'll usually run away. So it's a pretty good defensive thing to pick up. Now, as you can see here, we also have the Phiomia saddle. Now this is a creature that's in game, a dinosaur of sorts. And with the saddle, if we knock it out and then tame it, we could put this saddle on it after making it, and then ride that creature around. Now, a lot of the creatures in the game have saddles and are rideable and or tameable. You can make them your pets. Doing so allows you to harvest resources better, maybe take stronger fights, and overall aid and assist in general game mechanics later in the game. When you're going out and you're using the axe and you're harvesting wood, you're trying to build yourself a base or to gather it to cook with or to smelt metals and irons to make some of the later stuff and tech and blueprints that are in the game, having a dinosaur or a tamed creature or a mount that can go out that specializes in gathering wood, or the resource that you have is very, very efficient. Initially, the Phiomia, not really helpful. It's used for collecting hide and meat, and later on for growing crops. As you see, eventually we'll come across one and I'll point it out, and you'll kind of understand why. Now, moving on to level 6 here. The Mortar and Pestle is a crucial workstation to have. Along with it are the Spark Powder and Narcotic. Now, the Narcotic is something that you can make and then apply to an unconscious dinosaur to keep them unconscious longer during the taming process, which we'll get into in later videos. Right now, we're just going over the basics of what you should be learning to begin with. Now, like with the hide sleeping bag, we also have the simple bed. As you can see under there, you can see where it says required engrams and it's red hide sleeping bag. If you don't know the hide sleeping bag and you try to acquire an engram that has requirements, there will be a option for the window, which I'll show you here in a moment, that will pop up and ask if you want to spend the total points to unlock everything up to what you're trying to do. A lot of these have earlier requirements to build. That's why we took the thatch work, because all base building requires thatch to begin with, and then from there to move on to the wood building, you have to know the thatch. If you wanted to build the stone building, you'd have to know the thatch and wood. And it's because of requirements like this that you won't end up getting all of those engram points to be able to learn absolutely everything. Now, if you're a person who's really into building and really enjoys creating unique structures and stuff like that, it's alright to go ahead initially and take stuff like the sloped roof right and left and the sloped thatch roof that are here. There are ways in-game to essentially forget all the points that you spent here and on your character and redo all of that. But that's a later game item, and for the first 20 or 30 hours or so of this game as you're playing, that's not going to be an option for you. And during that time, those points would be much better spent on things that are going to help and aid your survival and progression of the game. So we're going to pick up the bed like I said. Standing torches are nice for light at night. The spyglass lets us see targets far away as well as their level and a little bit of information about them. The wood club, which as you can see we're out of engram points now. The way we get more is by leveling up, by harvesting creatures, crafting things, exploration. There are quite a few ways to gain experience to level in the game. So now that we're done here, we're going to go ahead and close this. We're going to tap tab again and go back into our inventory, and we're going to come over here to the grayed out portion that says crafting. We're going to click on it. All the engrams that we were just learning are now going to be available over here, and as you can see, the one that's highlighted gray is telling us that we have all the required resources in our inventory to make this item. As you can see on the right, it requires 1 stone, 10 thatch, and 1 wood, of which we have 35 stone, 28 thatch, and 10 wood. So we're going to go ahead and double click on this, which puts it into our crafting queue down here. The load bar will take up, and then it'll disappear. So, to find what's here, we come back and we switch back to the inventory tab, and now here down at the bottom in the last open slot is the item we crafted. We're going to click and drag it from here down to our hotbar, which are numbered 1 through 9. these are quick slots for your items that have been crafted here. The things that you're seeing in my inventory right now that I'm highlighting over, these are all skins and awards that the developers have given out to members that have had the game for a long time over many seasons. Um, they're not used for anything other than decorative purposes. They don't add anything special except for a look for the game. Here in a moment, I'll show you what I'm talking about. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and press escape, come out of that window. We're going to press 1, and now we have a pickaxe. Now this pickaxe is really nice. It allows us to, say, approach this dry piece of tree and wood out here and harvest stuff with it. As you can see, I'm getting thatch and wood off of it, and quite a bit of thatch and just a little bit of wood. Now, something that this game has done relatively well is that there are better tools to harvest what you're looking for. Right now, harvesting wood from this tree with a pickaxe isn't really doing me very good. It's getting me a lot of thatch, but not a lot of wood. So what we want to do is we want to come back over here to crafting and take a look at the axe. Now the axe, you can see it says that we're missing flint to craft this. You may ask yourself, well, where's flint? Can I just pick it up off the ground like we did with the couple of rocks that we found earlier? And the answer is no. Flint doesn't just appear on the ground as a resource like that. But where you can get flint, however, is by finding a larger stone, kind of like that one over there, but not. We'll go ahead and kind of look around and... here we go. You can see the stones along the waterway here. They're a little smooth. You got a little bit of the white kind of gray in them. Now, this particular stone, and from its appearance, is indicating to me that there's probably metal ore inside of it as well. Not a whole lot, but enough early on that stones like this are probably going to be your go-to source for early iron. Now, with that, it will also give stone and normal stone nodes. Let's see if I can locate another one. Here we go. Usually look about like this. Now, a lot of the stone in the game is harvestable. Most of the time you won't know until you've gone up and actually whacked at it. And as you can see with the pick, we're getting a good amount of stone, a little bit of metal ore from this, because as you can see, there's a little bit of that white silvery sheen in it, and stone, but we're getting a lot more flint from stone than anything else. That's because the axe, this pickaxe, is better at harvesting things like flint and meat and thatch than it is at harvesting wood, stone, or hide. Because of that, we're going to go ahead and come back into our inventory, switch over to our crafting, and you can see now that we have some flint, we've got a couple of more engrams that have lit up. We can make a torch, we can craft a campfire, and we can also make those standing torches. But for right now, what we want is we want this stone axe. So we'll double click on it, just like last time, switch back to our inventory. You can see it's popped up here. We'll drag it down to our preferred hotbar slot, switch over to it, and now when we go to harvest a tree, you can see we're getting a lot more wood than thatch. Same thing goes, oh well, we can't move. Why is that, you might ask? Well, if you look at the right hand side of the screen down towards the bottom, you can see a few symbols that are there. Here, let me try and put them on the tree so that they're visible for you. So down at the bottom, you've got the plus. That cross that's down there, that's your health. And essentially that'll deplete down as you take damage. The lightning bolt right above it is your stamina bar. Directly above it is your food, water, and then the weight symbol that's there is your inventory capacity. and that weight symbol will fill up as you gather stuff. And like you saw, I've gathered so much wood and stone and flint and things I can no longer move. I can't jump, and it's telling me my inventory is too heavy. So what we'll do is we're going to press tab, and we're going to come back in here into our inventory, and you can see here the stat that says weight. It's telling us we're at 163.9 out of the 120 that we have. So what we got to do is we got to lose some weight. Right now, I don't think we need all 227 pieces of wood. So we're going to go ahead and highlight the item we want to drop and then tap O. And that's immediately going to discard it from our inventory. You can click on it if you wish and then right click to bring up a menu and drop it from here. This is also where you can check the quick key command for things that you can. You can also split the stack by one, by half, all, or if you highlight this one, you can split out a specific amount for it. Right now, we dropped those 27 units of wood, which as you can see brought us down to 150, but it's still not enough. The stone's really important, and the flint's really important. This extra 100 pieces of wood, for the moment, we're just going to click and drag, and you see it's not really moving out of our inventory this way. That's why we just highlight over it, press O, and it's gone. And now you can see we're down to 100 out of the 120, and we can move again. But we're moving sluggish and slow, and as you can see, that weight symbol over there is almost entirely filled up. So, what's the next thing we want to do, you might ask? Well, we're going to have to start worrying about our food and water. As you can see, moving around and harvesting stuff has consumed some of this to replenish our stamina. Now, the way we do that is we're going to press Q to put away our tool so our hands are free. And then these bushes, like what's in front of me here, this one, this kind of small, thin palm tree that's here, these are harvestable by approaching them and then pressing and holding E. And you'll see on the left-hand side that you'll gather berries and an assortment of them and fiber. Right now, we want to gather 2 or 3 of these just to help initially, and you can see, I've gathered enough that I can't move anymore. Well, we're going to help ourselves out there a little bit. As you can see, with my gather rates, I gathered quite a bit of this. If you're playing vanilla, these units will come in at 1 or 2 at a time, and it makes the start of the game very long and arduous. For new players, I would suggest starting like I have with a rough 5 times for your experience, your harvest. It allows you to experience what the game has to offer without making it overly time consuming. Yes, it still takes a bit of time, but it's a reasonable amount of time in my opinion. So with that there, we're going to go ahead and come to the crafting, and you can see some of our clothing is ready. So we'll go ahead and make the pants, the shirt, and the hat. You can also see that we now have access to the sphere, and this is going to be your early defensive weapon. Now this will stack up to 5 times because you can either poke with it or throw with it, and what you really want to do is make 5 of them as soon as possible. So essentially we're going to double click on this until we have 5 crafting in the queue, and then we'll go from there. Now we'll switch back over, and you can see that the stuff that we've crafted will start to appear in our inventory. Again, as a quick motion, you can highlight, say your clothing, and then tap E, and E will automatically equip your person. If you wish, you can click and drag and drop into the required area as well. And now you can see our avatar over here for the game is now wearing some clothes. He's still missing the gloves and shoes, but we'll deal with that here in a moment. During that time, you can see all of our spears have finished crafting. So we're going to go ahead and click and drag that down to our hotbar. I like keeping my hotbar this way set up. My personal preferences. Everyone has their own. Feel free to customize it as you see fit, because really what matters is you remembering where your tools are and the buttons without being able to look at them, because sometimes in the heat of the moment it takes a little bit of finger dexterity to get what you need, but none of that's super important right now. What is important right now is getting rid of this weight that we have on us. It's not doing us any good, and really we could probably use spending a few more points. Now if you've turned your ratings like mine, then you too should have about another 17 levels. And with that, we're going to go ahead and kind of focus like I said. We're going to bring our health up to 150. We're going to bring our stamina up to 150. And because weight's an issue right now, we're going to bring our weight up to 250. Well, 200. Don't forget to add points to fortitude. Fortitude is important. So let's go ahead and bring it up to 10. And as you can see, our weight's decreased a good bit now. And again, we'll continue. Another point into health and another point into stamina. Again, you can see we've got many more Ingram points open. I'm not going to worry about those right now because there's a couple of things that are more important, like getting some shelter, finding a way to have a respawn point, because if we die right now, we'll just, respawn maybe over there, maybe further up over there, maybe on the other side over there. The way death works in this game, when you die, there will be a pillar of light, kind of like what we're looking at over there where that loot crate was. That'll indicate your body. You'll have X amount of minutes to respawn and run to it and pick up the items that you died with, or you're going to lose them. Some people find that very difficult to play with, and there are mods out there such as Death Helper and Death Keeper that allow you to die, and when you respawn you keep your inventory or touch a small item and it automatically reclaims your inventory from the game. Now, I personally don't have any mods going right now. This is vanilla minus the adjusted harvest XP settings that I discussed earlier. Right now, if you mouse wheel out, you can go into third person camera and look at your character, or you can mouse wheel in and have a first person view. You can also tap K and go into a cinematic camera that allows you to view your avatar and the world around him. And then to go back in, we just tap K again. Now as you can see, that light just popped up and there's the big ball up there. That's that loot crate coming down. It'll eventually float down with that ball all the way down to that spot and then wait there for a while before it eventually despawns like it did over there. And yeah. So as I was saying, for right now, we're gonna get out our spear, and I'm thinking chicken for dinner tonight. I don't know about you guys, but it looks like a tasty turkey to me. So I'm gonna approach him and just start clicking, and as you can see, he's done. I'm gonna pull out my axe, approach him, and harvest him. As you can see, I got some meat and hide. Now earlier, like I was talking about the axe and pickaxe and how different tools harvest different resources and amounts, the stone axe is better at getting hide than it is at getting meat, where the pickaxe is better at getting meat than it is at hide. So using the right tool to harvest the resource that you're looking for is important. And that's where taming creatures comes in the game, because a lot of the dinosaurs that are in here and a lot of the things that are featured are specific in helping you overcome obstacles like that. Again, we're going to go ahead and look for another dodo, which you can hear him quipping. There he is. We're going to press number 3 again, get our spear out. And this time, instead of poking him, we're going to press and hold down the right mouse button. As you can see, it kind of comes back, starts shaking, and then, oh, nope, there's some drops, so we'll get a little closer, and there we go. Now, the throw is more damaging than poking us. As you can see, there's some drops, so there's a little bit of skill to get used to it. But again, we're looking for hide and meat, but more hide than meat, so we're going to use the axe. Gather our hide and meat, press tab. Now, the reason we were gathering the hide are for 2 crucial things. First off, the rest of our armor and the water skin. The shoes require hide and fiber, and the gloves require hide and fiber, and the water skin requires hide and fiber. Now, the second thing, yes, the hide sleeping bag too requires hide and fiber, and an alright amount. So we're going to go ahead and make all of those. And as you can see down here in the bottom, they're popping up in our inventory again. Again, we're just going to highlight the shoes and tap E to equip them. Same thing with the glove. And you can see our character model now has all of the cloth garments. We're going to drag the water skin into our slot. Now, I like to keep my food and health items on the last 2 hotbar slots in here. Wherever is most convenient for you, of course, is best to put it. And then the next thing we want to do is drag the hide sleeping bag down onto our hotbar so we can use it. We're going to go ahead and press the hotkey associated with it, which is number 4, and you can see now we have a green outline of this sleeping bag, and this is telling us where we want to put it. Now, if you get to a place where it's turned red like this, you can see it's giving you the prompt on the screen, can't place sleeping bag is obscured. That means there's something in the way. And as you can see right now, that something in the way is me. And if we move it just a little away from us, it turns green again. Now, just putting this down out in the world like this, yeah, you can do it, but with the way the game is and the way the server constantly runs, time doesn't stop when you log out. When your character logs out in this game, the avatar falls asleep, essentially, in this world and no longer moves, which means that the random wildlife, while you're not playing, can come by and eat you. So just throwing it down in the middle of nowhere, not a good idea. We at least want somewhat of a safe place to live first, and to be able to do that, we need to choose a location for our first house. Now, when doing that, we've got a couple of things. Okay. Alright, there we go. We've got a couple of things that we want to consider. One, what kind of resources are around us? Are there trees? Are there stone? Is there a place to maybe get metal? What kind of animals are in the area around us? Is there a source of water? And just so you know, while this may look like an ocean, it's all fresh water. You can walk right up to it, look down at it, tap E, get yourself a drink. Same thing goes for filling your water skin. Mine's in the 9th slot, so I'm just going to look down at it, tap number 0, actually, and fill my water skin. Now, while I'm out in the world, should I want to take a drink, I just have to tap number 0, and I'll get a sip of water. Now, the thing with the water skin is it slowly depletes water over time. So eventually, all the water will drain out, and that's kind of the reason to build the canteens and the water jars and some of the other things. Not only do they hold more water, allowing you to venture further away from a water source, but they also don't leak. So, let's find a place to set up our house and home. Right off the bat, I'm a little familiar with the game and island already, so I kind of know where certain locations are ahead of time. And honestly, in this area here, there's not much that's going to harm us. This place is relatively safe. It has access to the larger open sea area over there. We've got a decent amount of trees, small bush resources. The dinosaurs so far that we've come across here all seem to be non-threatening or harmless for the most part. And as you can see, there are quite a few stones. Now, like I was talking earlier, some of the stones are harvestable, some of them aren't. This big stone here, a harvestable stone. This giant stone, big and harvestable. This stone, however, is not. And the way you can kind of tell the difference, if it's part of the ground itself and it's coming out this way, probably not going to be able to harvest it. And if you try, as you can see, there's no hit marker on it. Where one that you can harvest, you're going to get the hit marker and the sound from it. Now, paying attention to your surroundings and the sounds that are going on in this game, really important. I personally have the music turned down to avoid any copyright infringements with what's going on. I'll be adding my own soundtrack and music later on in post-production. But for right now, I would suggest keeping the music on because it does change and it gets dramatic. So if you have a aggressive creature that's coming in, the music is going to change to something kind of more upbeat, kind of threatening and orchestral as compared to what you've been hearing so far. And that's kind of your indicator to start looking around, maybe back up from where you are, take note of your surroundings because something's hunting. Me, I've kind of learned where some of the aggressive animals are, so I know when to be on my guard, when to start looking around, and when not. Again, you can see all these rocks in here. All these rocks are harvestable, including the one that I'm climbing on, this big giant rock. Yet, however, this rock wall here is not. This is part of the map. This is a harvestable resource now. After playing the game long enough, you'll kind of be able to identify these relatively easily without having to walk up and hit each one. But as you can see, we've got ourselves a Triceratops down here. Now, Triceratops, being a herbivore, normally isn't aggressive. You can kind of get up next to him, you can look at him and stuff. But if you hit it, attack it, even mistakenly, he's going to get angry, and he's going to want to stomp us and gore us and do all manner of, big beastly lizard things to us. And we don't want that. So right now, we're going to leave him be. Now, over here, we've got one of my favorite guys in the game. These things are great. They're good to have around. They help with your climate changes in conditions. And as you can see, if you walk up, it'll tell you it's a wild female Lystrosaurus, what its level is. And down here you can see it says put taming food in last item slot to feed. Looking at this creature, you may ask yourself, well, taming, like, what does it eat? Well, this is a herbivore, meaning that it eats vegetables and berries and plants. And as far as taming goes, if we look at our inventory, you can see we've been gathering berries off of those bushes. If you highlight them, it'll tell you what's up with them. So like this one's an owlberry, and this berry grows mostly in dense jungles, can be used to make blue dye. This one's a tento berry, and it's a bit sour, also used to make red dyes. And you can see these mejo berries down here. They grow almost everywhere, and they improve almost every meal. Now, when feeding them, unlike feeding a carnivore, mejo berries are going to be your early go-to. So if we take that and we put it in our last inventory slot, we're going to scoot our water bag over one, just like it said. We can then approach the little guy who's over here. And it doesn't need to be from behind or straight from the head, just in general. And you can see it says press E to feed. So we're going to do that. And feeding him made him happy. Now we get a chance to name him. But we're not going to name her. We're just going to leave her unnamed and identified as the type that she is. We're going to go ahead and accept. And now you can see she's over here with a green tag. She's level 17. She's following me, level 28. And you can see now we can pet it. So let's go ahead and pet it. Oh, ain't it cute? You can also see, by looking at it, its status window now. It's showing you its health, its stamina, the food, and the weight on it. And the up arrow plus that's flashing yellow is an indication that the animal has levels that you can spend to help make it better too. As it says, we can tap E to access its inventory. And in here, you can see the inventory screen for the animal. Down in the center, it has its stats very similarly to the way that we do. In there, you can also see the amount of points that it has, our inventory, their name, as well as their gender and other relevant information to the tamed creature that you have. Now, certain tames, like I said, can have saddles that are placed upon them. And because of that, you'll see other options, like with our character screen, where we were placing our cloth clothing and armors. It too will have up over here a place to place the saddle and like a cosmetic skin. And that's what this is. So if this was a raptor, I'd be able to drag it to the cosmetic slot and then it'd change its appearance. Same thing with the Parasaur that's here. This changes the look of the Parasaur saddle. Again, the Parasaur, I'm not really looking for it. It is a good traveling mount. It swims very well, so it's nice to cross dangerous waterways and to run around on the land and stuff, but it doesn't really have an attack and it doesn't really harvest much of anything. It's kind of more like a horse. You feed it, it goes fast, and it swims alright. Now, with the Lystrosaurus here, we're going to go ahead and give it a little bit of health, give it a little bit of extra stamina, and you can see down here it's got a weight of 95 and a movement speed of 300. It does have a melee damage, meaning that if it bites or attacks something, that it will do a little bit of extra damage. But right now we want to increase its movement speed a little, and then let's go ahead, increase its weight. Because as is right now, we can ask it, like, hey little buddy, why don't you highlight the item that you want and then tap T to quick transfer. Why don't you hold all those berries for me? And now, as long as there's berries in his inventory, he'll eat directly from here. Because he too has the food stat, and if you let this go down, he'll eventually not be able to recover stamina or any of his health, and he'll start starving and taking damage just like you, and he'll end up dying. The same thing goes for carnivores. If you don't put meat over here into their inventory, or build a feeding trough, which requires an engram, then they're going to starve to death and die. Right now, these don't weigh anything, and I'm tired of looking at them because it's cluttering up the inventory here, so we're going to ask him with the quick transfer T, just by highlighting it and tapping T, to hold on to these for me. In fact, we're going to go ahead and take this one back so I can show you exactly what these do. So these are cosmetic skins for your clothing and armor. Like this here is a hunter skin for a hat. So to apply this, all you have to do is click, drag it, and you can see this turned dark blue, gray, opaque there. Just drop it on it, and now it's changed to that. So when we look at ourselves now, we're wearing this beautiful looking hat as compared to the cloth skull cap. It's essentially all it does. We're going to go ahead and press K, zoom back into first person because that's the way I prefer it to be. You can see anywhere we go, this little guy is going to follow us now. He's going to run up and forward and sprint away and stop. And he's just going to waddle his way on. Now, you may not want to bring him everywhere with you because other dinosaurs can and most likely will attack him. We don't want our little buddy to get hurt, so we're going to press and hold E this time, and we'll get a radio menu. In this radio menu here, we've got a couple of different AI settings that we can issue to our little companion here to help out with it. The first thing we're going to want to do is change his behavior settings, which are here. We just simply move down, left click once, and now you can see all the different settings we can give our little guy here. Right now, we want to disable following, meaning he's just going to kind of stand around here and wait for us to come back, which is just fine. We don't really want him to come with us. We will pet him. We will pet her, yeah. That's a good lizard. And we'll be back here in just a little bit. Right now, we're looking for a place to call home. Having them come around with us, not such a good idea right this second. We're kind of going to move a little further out this way, see if we can't get a better look at the land. Now you can see some towers off in the distance that way. There's one off over there. I'll show you those at a later point in time in this series. Right now, we need to find a place to call home, get our sleeping bag down, get a box down, and get our buddy back there. Building along the beach might be alright, but because the dinosaurs, like I say, roam in the game, not everything is always going to stay where it is. Who knows? Maybe a giant, meat-eating dinosaur comes trumpeting down the beach one day and finds us here. I don't think I like that, so I'm going to look for a place that's a little more secure, and up on this ridge definitely feels that way. So I'm going to come up top here to kind of get a better look at what's going on. Now, can't really see around me. There's a lot of grass, trees, and rocks, so I'm going to use the rocks before they're harvested to my advantage to kind of get up here, get a better look, higher vantage point, better view of the land. And as you can see, this area right here, it's kind of rounded. Might make building a little difficult. You might run into issues with having to place supports and stuff, so we want a bit more of a flatter area than what we're looking for here. As such, we'll kind of go ahead and run through the trees a little further down this way, check a little deeper into this cove and the waterway that's down here, gather a bit more of these resources. We got plenty of wood and stone, and some of the stones giving us metal and berries and fiber. And there's some relatively nice large chickens or dodos that are around here that we can hunt. Murder ducks, giant toothy murder ducks. We're just going to leave him be. And yeah, kind of look a little further in here. I mean, you can hear the water running. We can hear that murder duck. He was the one making noise out there. Oh, hey, look, there's a Carbonarasaurus, essentially a giant tortoise. Yeah. So again, this area is looking kind of nice. We're close to water. We've got all the basic resources around us that we need. We've got some stone. The area in here is actually relatively flat. For our first home, we won't need to do anything really big or anything super special. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go ahead and put our sleeping bag down temporarily. That way, if we die while making the base, we can spawn right back here and get it. The next thing we're going to want to do is come into our crafting here, and we're going to want to locate the box, and we're going to want to make a box. Now, this box, we're going to bring down into our hotbar just like we did the last one. And we're going to look for a place to set it. I like to put it right next to my bed so that my spawn point and the box are in the same place. And we'll walk up to it. access the box by pressing E. We're going to highlight everything that's over here and just hold down the letter T. And just shove it all in there really quickly. This is weight that we don't need on us right this second because we're going to need more resources like fiber, thatch, wood, stuff like that to build our first home. Now, you may be tempted to outright just build the thatch stuff that we built earlier. I'm going to let you know right now, when I first started, that's what I thought too. You know, you build this and then you upgrade to the next one and then do that. Just skip over the thatch right away and go straight to the wood. Work up enough levels that you can unlock the wood foundation at the beginning of play. And the wood walls, wood door, wood roof. And go ahead and build that outright. Because the thatch stuff is very weak. As you can see, we're stuck, we can't move. We don't know the wood building up, so we're going to go ahead and click on the engrams here. We're going to scroll down a bit until we start seeing the wood building materials, which are here down on 11. We're going to pick up the foundation, the wall, triangular foundations, the wood ceiling, the wood door, and the reinforced door off of it. And this is going to allow us to put down our first home. Now, I've been gathering some of the resources, and you can see I'm fully and I can't move. So we're going to come in here, we're going to tap crafting, we're going to find this, and we're going to see we need 15 plant fibers per foundation. I would suggest starting out with at least a 2x3 foundation platform. We should be in range of this plant, so I'm going to go ahead and gather it for the resources and fiber off of it. Go back into our inventory, come in here, locate the engram. And something that's a little wonky about this game never really has been fixed. Sometimes the raw resources that you're carrying weigh more than the item that you're wanting to craft. In this case, the wood, thatch, and fiber combined way more than the foundation itself after it's made. So what we want to do is go ahead and craft a few of these. Now, if you mistakenly craft something like I did here, you can press this to cancel the queue and stop crafting whatever's in there. Now, as you can see, we're out of thatch. I don't have any more thatch. Best way to get it, find a tree, pull out the pickaxe, harvest it with the pickaxe because it gives more thatch, and you can see we can move again. Now, we still have plenty of wood, and we know we put more thatch in here, so we'll stand in front of the box, we'll pick up all of our wood and our thatch just like so, which of course, as you saw over there, is almost enough to encumber us completely. We're going to select those foundations that we found and bring them down into our hotbar. And then we're going to turn around, tap number 4, and you can see we've got the green outline just like we had with that. We're going to find roughly where we want the center of our building to be, and I'm kind of liking this point right here. So we're going to place it, and you can see now if we look right and left, we can spin that foundation any way to kind of help line it up. For me, I want it there, and you can see the next one in the slot automatically snaps in place with it. As I was saying, initially we want a 2x3, so we're going to go that way. Now to quick craft down there, because I had that item in slot 4, when I run out, if I press it again and have the resources for it, it will automatically build it, just like it didn't. And now I needed 3 more, so we're going to tap number 4 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that only went 2, meaning that I'm probably missing some resources, be it wood or thatch or fiber, that kept me from building that 3rd one. I've got 2 more in there now, so I'm going to press 4. Highlight it up, and as you can see so far, we're 2 platforms by 3 on one row. We need 1 more here. So to check and see what we need, we're going to go into our inventory, go to crafting, find the foundation. You can see we're missing fiber and wood. To get fiber, we're going to go back to our hands, harvest these bushes. To get wood, we're going to pull out the axe. We're going to find ourselves a tree like this here. And we're going to harvest the tree. You can see it's telling us we're starting to get encumbered, so we're going to stop. Come back over here. We still have that on our quick bar, so we're going to press 4 once. It'll build. And we placed it. This is our 2x3 platform. And on here, this is essentially where we're going to make our first home. Now, I know he sounds all grumpy and angry, but he's harmless. He's not going to hurt you. It's a Mozchops. Yep. He too, if you put food in your last inventory slot, you can tame him and have him walking around, and we probably will. He's a good, light, defensive pit bull. But for right now, we're going to focus on getting the roof over our head and getting that done. So the next thing we're going to want is our front door that requires a doorway and the door itself. So we're going to double click on each of them, put them into the crafting queue, and wait for them to craft up in our inventory here. We'll go ahead and drag those down into our hotbar, just like we did with the foundations and walls. If you wish, sometimes building is easier in the third-person camera view, or in the K camera, which you can zoom out much further and look around your character than you can. I personally like the first-person view. That's the way I do most of my building. We're going to find our door, which is this. It too will snap into place anywhere. And you can kind of see the way you look at it is always going to be the inside first. So if we place it this way, the outside of this is automatically going to face away from us. It's something that the developers eventually added and switched, where there was no longer any guessing what side's the inside, what side's the outside. Our question right now is, where do we want the front door? I can't really have it over here. There's a cliff down there. You got a nice path that walks in here and a nice path that walks in over here. I think this one's a little cluttered, honestly. This looks like the smoother way to get in, so I'm going to put my door here. As you can see, just clicking on the area puts it up. We're going to select 7, get the door itself. It will automatically snap in place just like the last one. Click it in, and now we've got our door. We've got our wall set up, so we're going to grab our wall, we're going to put it there, and now we're going to need at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more walls to make the first layer. And then we're going to need 10 more if we want it 2 stories tall, which I'm letting you know right now, most people's characters are going to be as tall as the 1-story building. If you plan on using the larger storage, go for 2 stories outright. Save yourself the hassle. It feels less cramped, much more inviting and nice. So, just like last time, we're going to locate our walls, which are on number 5. We're going to tap it a bunch of times and build as many as we can. Right now, that's only 2. And we're going to work on enclosing this. Again, we're going to tap tab, go into our crafting, find the wall. Looks like we're just missing the wood for the most part. Again, we're going to look around, find the tree, harvest the rest of the wood that's here. Got some more wood up here. Come up, keep an eye on the weight. We want a lot of wood, but we don't want to have so much that we can't move afterwards. Come back down here again, tap 5 a bunch of times, make as many as we can, and continue to put these walls up as we make them. Now, if the crafting speed is taking too long in your opinion, that's what you can spend the crafting points on for your skill. We'll speed that up and expedite the time that it takes to make each individual thing. Well, He looks like someone got angry with him. Again. Oh no. Oh, there's a Dilophosaur. And this is what I was talking about, paying attention to your surroundings, listening. As you saw, that Moschops came running through this way. This guy was chasing him, and instead of going after him, we looked like the tastier target. He spit at us, we went flying, got poisoned there for a moment. But because I have my hotkey set up the way, I was able to switch over to my spear, defend myself, and he lost in the end. So you are going to be the Dilophosaur steaks tonight, my friend. We're going to go ahead and harvest him, the hide and meat, and then we're going to come back over this way, get a bit more of the wood here, get some more of the plant fiber. Same thing with these thatches, just in case, because it's requiring both of those to build. We're going to walk up, press E to open our front door, walk in, and again, we're just going to start tapping 5 a bunch of times and build as many walls as we can. Now, you can see the screen's turned red. We've got a red background and a stomach symbol over there. And you may be asking yourself, well, what's going on? Why am I taking damage all of a sudden? It's because we're starving. So we're just going to highlight this, hold E, until we eat all of that. As you can see, our food has run out. That's because we were running around. We took some damage from the Dilophosaur and had to heal from it. So we're going to go ahead and eat all the blueberries and all the red berries and all the yellow berries. Don't eat the black berries and don't eat the purple berries initially. Eat the purple berries if you have to, but not the black ones or the white ones. This berry and this berry. This berry puts you to sleep. This berry gives you a bunch of stamina back and wakes you up, but takes away all your water. And the last thing you want is to be super dehydrated. Again, this isn't gonna cut us over. These are only berries, it's very little food, but it's enough to keep us from starving for the moment. There we go. Again, we're probably out of more wood, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more to build. So again, we're gonna come over here, pull out our axe, harvest some more wood. This time we're going to stop, go into our crafting menu, find the engram, right click on it, and then down here you can see we can craft 1, craft all from the resources available, which are 2 so far, and then keep harvesting. Now, doing it this way, like I talked about earlier, sometimes the item weighs less than the resources that you're gathering that are used to make it. And because of that, walls are similar. We can go ahead and gather up a bunch of the stuff we know we need, like the thatch, wood, and fiber. And then, as you can see, we're moving pretty slow, we're a little sluggish. We're going to come back here and stop. We know we already crafted 2. We're going to come back here, we're going to menu click it again. Well, 5 more is more than the 6 we need, so we're going to come down here to crafting amount, select it, put in the 5, and then click OK. And now we're going to automatically make those 5. They're going to go to where the last hotbar slot is that had them located, which is our number 5. And we're going to go ahead and put them up. Looks like I miscounted by 1, forgetting the doorway here. But that's fine. We don't have to use it, and we may want it for a later time. The next thing we're going to need is a roof on this place. Now, real quick way to tell how many roofs you're going to need by the foundations you put down. We put down 2 by 3 or 6 foundations, 2 groupings of 3 or 3 groupings of 2, depending on how you want to look at it. So again, we're going to go into our crafting, look for the ceiling. You can see we're essentially missing the wood from it, but we should have everything else. Again, we're going to come out the door, and this time we don't necessarily have to keep this foundation piece on us. So because of that, you can see the menu's not wanting to go away. The way we're going to deal with it is by tapping the icon again. We're going to come out here, go to our box, and we're going to get rid of the non-essentials. So we're going to press and hold T and essentially try to put everything in there, kind of move our mouse over it while holding T, and that'll forcefully fill all the stacks over here to the max. And then we know we need the wood, the thatch, and the fiber. We can put in a few more of these, but we're running low on wood, so we're going to come back over here just like we did, find the closest tree, harvest up some wood. You can see we got the encumbrance tag up there. It's not enough that we can't move, but we can't sprint, we can't jump. We're real sluggish, just barely making it back. We're going to come inside, shut the door, go back to our crafting, find the roofs, craft them out. We're going to craft, well, it's saying we can only craft 4. We'll craft all 4 and start getting them put up. We probably have to go back for more wood. Now I put it into slot 6, just look up a bit, and they'll snap right into place. Just like that. See, we're missing the last 2 down here. Can't make any more because we're out of resources. Come here and check. You can see we got plenty of thatch still. Plenty of fiber. It's just the wood we're short on. So we'll open our door again. It's starting to become nightfall, so this is perfect. I'm not a big fan of nighttime in this game. It's pretty hard to see, pretty pitch black, and we'll be done with the first tutorial here in just a moment. Again, you can see I got stuck, I can't move, so we're going to come up here. We're going to build the 2 that we need outright from the materials we have. And as these are built, if you look at the weight here, you can see the weight just jumped down a little bit. And then it went back up just a second. And that's for those 2, but that was enough that, look, we can move again just fine. So sometimes if you get stuck out, that's a trick you can use to move again and carry a little extra weight when trying to get some of this done, because it can be a little grindy. Again, we're going to press 6, look up at the top, place the 2, and now we've got a nice place. Now out there, again, we're going to come over here, we're going to look at the bed, press and hold E, and then down here you can see you can fast travel by highlighting this and select it. You can demolish it, which we're not going to do. You can rename it so you can tell yourself where it is on the map when you die. But right now we're going to pick it up. We're going to bring it inside. Put it down into our hotbar. Me, I like to try and, line things up as best I can. I'll call that good. Similarly, come out here, and we're going to use this button here, which is transfer all. Takes everything out. Press and hold E. You can see here, can't pick up the storage box like the other one. The only thing we can do is demolish it, which is fine, and we're stuck. That's okay. We have a lot of weight on us. So we're going to come in here and craft a couple of sections first. Box to the side. Either way you come to build those 2. Hopefully it's enough to 2, where I'll be going over more of the game progression. Today's episode was more of a way to help you get started. Same play setup, get you started,